This is Mike Roth on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. This season, we're going to be changing the name of the podcast because we are increasing our emphasis on activities and health for seniors over 55 years of age.
Welcome to Season 8 of Villages Vitality Life, Seniors Life Unscripted. Our podcast used to be called Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. In this new season, we talk to leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live in and around the villages. We also talk to people who have information vital to seniors. You will get perspectives of what is happening in and around the Villages, Florida. In addition, in this new season, we will add more information for all seniors. We are a listener-supported podcast.
This is Mike Roth on Villages Vitality Senior Life Unscripted. I'm here today with Dave Anthony. Thanks for joining me, Dave.
Mike, thanks for having me.
But Dave, you're a developer. How long have you been a developer?
I actually started developing back in the early 80s.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
I started in the early 80s developing manufactured home communities in Punta Gorda. And I did that for several years. I developed 3 communities. And then I retired from that, had a consulting business, and built an RV community and also a gated community there in Punta Gorda.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you decided to get into the business of building garage condos?
Because I needed one. And I was able to go look at one that was being built in our town. Some friends of mine had bought one. This is about at least 8 years ago now, and went over to it, and I liked the concept. I just didn't like the structure that they were building, didn't like the quality of it, and felt like I could design it a little bit better, and I listened to those gentlemen that had bought in there and things that they wished were different.
Could you give our listeners a little bit of an idea of what you saw and what you didn't like?
That was in the beginning of the industry, and they were building them with lower ceilings. They did not use LED lighting or high bay lighting. The ceilings were only 16 feet high, so if you wanted to build a mezzanine or a second level, you couldn't do it. And actually, they were too small. They were 18, 20 feet wide, which in today's world, you need at least 24, 25 feet wide to have 2 vehicles in there. So I just started researching it and spent time going around the state of Florida looking at other developments of what they did and learned more from what I didn't want to do than by what I wanted to do. And then I sat down with my architect and my engineer that I had used in the manufactured home business, and we designed what we have today.
So today you're building condo garages here in the Villages area.
That's correct.
Next question is going to be, why the Villages area?
Some of my customers moved here for the lifestyle of the Villages. So we were in Punta Gorda, and I built the first complex, and some of those folks that bought from me actually moved up here. And about 4 years ago, they called me up and said, Dave, we think you ought to come up here and take a look at the area and think about building up here because we don't have the product that you have up here for us. And we'd like for you to come up and meet with us. So I did.
Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the features that are in your garage condos. First of all, are they all season air conditioned?
Yes, we use a mini split system, which can be for air conditioning, heating. You can just put it on a dry mode if you want, but it really is more efficient to run it in the AC setting. So they are climate controlled, and that's probably one of the most important factors.
Now here in Florida, people are worried about the heat getting into their garages and their houses, and so they put, relatively speaking, ineffective insulation on the garage doors.
That's true.
What do you do?
That's one of the things that I noticed. Most of these places use a metal roll-up door. If they did, they used a standard garage door. We upgraded that quite a bit. Start off with, we used R30 insulation in the roof. And the garage doors are Copay doors. It's the best insulated door that they make. So that was one of the major factors that I looked at that we use standard in our product.
Do you have hurricane bars on your garage door?
Oh, absolutely. And the way I build these units here, I build them the same way that we did in Punta Gorda. The way I build these is each unit within a building is its own building. They're completely footered all the way around. They have what they call a bond beam, which is like a tie beam halfway up, and then a tie beam at the top, of course. But also my dividing walls between my units are concrete structural walls, and the unit is completely footered. So it is a building within a building.
So when you say concrete structured wall, does that mean it's got poured concrete with rebar in it? Or does that mean cement block?
It's cement block with rebar. So on the perimeter walls, every 2 feet, you've got rebar going up, and it goes to what they call a bond beam, where it's tied with steel and goes around. The dividing walls have steel rebar going up every 4 feet. And then at 11 feet, there's a row of steel going completely around the building, again at 18. So those are structural walls on top of a 30-inch footer.
And let's talk about bathroom facilities. What do you build into each unit?
It depends on the location, and it varies. If we have a location that we're on a septic tank system, then obviously we don't have bathrooms within the units. We have nice common restrooms, and we always locate them to where it's very convenient for the customer, either depending on the size of the project. Some of ours have one common restroom in the center. It has a men's room and separate ladies' room, so the ladies have their own. If the project is a little bit bigger, we'll have 2 or 3 sets of bathrooms, so they're very convenient for them. If we have a location where we're on sewer, we will offer some of the buildings to be prepped for a bathroom, and a person can add a bathroom, but we still do the common bathroom, because in Punta Gorda, all but one of my first project was on septic tank. The rest of them were on sewer. And actually, I've only, out of 200 units that I've done in Punta Gorda, I've only had 4 people add a half a bathroom. They find that the common restrooms are convenient enough to them, and they don't lose storage space.
That's interesting perspective.
Yeah.
I would have thought that common bathroom adds a maintenance cost that the
minor, very minor. It's in the HOA docs. The lady comes, we have a cleaning service come once a week to clean the restrooms and sanitize them. And then what happens is each complex has its own HOA, and there's 5 directors. And so you have a cleaning service come once a week for that, for the maintenance of the lawns and everything. And we find that it really is very inexpensive. The maintenance fees for the one we're building here in Punta Gorda, the total HOA fees, including the insurance on the complex, and again, security cameras, gated entry, many of those items, is $124 a month. So it's very reasonable.
In construction phase now for a unit in Leesburg, correct?
Yeah, the address is Leesburg, but we're actually located very close to the villages. We're exactly 2 miles east of the new Walmart on Highway 44. So just 2 miles east of there on the right-hand side. So it's very convenient to the villages.
The right-hand side, that means the south side?
That's correct. As you're heading from
the villages from
Walmart towards Leesburg, 2 miles down on your right.
Now, is that one on septic, or is it?
That's on septic, okay. Now, we've just acquired 2 other locations because we're anticipating expanding. And matter of fact, we just put up the signs this week. Both of those will have sewer available to them. Some of the buildings will be prepped where people can add a toilet if they like, or a half a bathroom, and some will not.
And how large are the units that you're building?
Our units start, and again, this is over research and building for the years, our units start at 24 feet wide by 52 feet deep and go up from there. The location we're at right now, all of the units are 52 feet deep, but we have 24 wide, 30, 32, or 34, depending on what the customer needs. Now, in the next complex that we're going to do, we'll start at that size, but we'll also have some units that are deeper. We'll have some that are 60 feet deep for people that have some very large stuff, but we've found that 52 feet will accommodate 90% of what people need.
What about building a second story inside this garage condo?
Yes, that's one of the things that I would say probably about 70% of the people do. That's why we went to an 18-foot ceiling clearance, so that when you build a mezzanine, you can have 9 feet clearance on the bottom and 8 on the top, or however really wherever you want to build it for the division in the height. But yes, and the other thing that I do is I come out 12 foot from the rear wall, and I put a 30-inch by 30-inch isolated footer, so that if a person's building a mezzanine, then they have a footer to put the post on in the middle. Now, you can span the 24-foot without a post. The 30-foot, you should have a post, but you could span it with a very large beam, but most of the people do not. They put a post in the center there. But yeah, they build the mezzanines for any purposes.
Do people put lifts into these garage condos?
Yes.
What type of lifts?
Most of them, not too many guys do the 2-post lift anymore. I would say 99% it's a 4-post lift. because they have those trays on them with the jacks that they can raise them up. 4-posts are much more easy to maneuver because the new ones they have now, you don't even have to bolt them down. They have a dolly thing on them, and they just raise up, and actually 2 people can just move that lift anywhere they want within the unit. So 90% of the people do a 4-post lift that handles a single car. A couple of the guys have what we call double wide lifts, where you have 2 cars side by side. Again, it's a 4-post lift that goes up. Now that one they normally bolt down because it's too big to maneuver around.
And installing the lift is something that you would do for the condo owner?
We don't do it, but we assist them the same way if they want a mezzanine. Okay, we have a framer that does it, and we help them coordinate to get it done.
Okay, for the first owner.
Yes, we assist the owner with that. We don't do it ourselves. Our units come, I can tell you what they come with standard. They come with a mini split system. They come with a 100-amp service. We do 13 double electrical outlets around the side of it so people can plug stuff in without running extension cords all over the place. We have 2 ceiling fans that help circulate the air. They come with high bay LED lighting that's made just for this type of structure. Our garage doors are, like I said, all Copay. They're all, of course, have open operators, but they're commercial. We don't use a standard opener. It's a commercial rated opener, which is 30% stronger than a standard. All of the things that we sell are adaptable to your phone. The man doors are all keyless entry to your phone, your air conditioner, your garage door, all that stuff can be operated from your telephone remote. Of course, there's a keypad on the man door. The garage door has a keypad outside of it. You also get a button opener like you do for your regular house. And that you get the opener will have 2 buttons on it. One operates the gated entry because it's a gated entry, and the other button will open your garage door.
Okay.
Okay.
And on the common restrooms, those doors lock?
We used to lock them, but we changed because of ladies brought it to my attention. We use what I guess you'd see at an airport or a commercial place where you go up to the door and it'll say open or used on it. So when a lady goes inside the door, she can turn around like a deadbolt and throw the lever and it says occupied. That way, if a lady or somebody's in there using the restroom and you're in a cubicle, nobody can open the door and come in. Since the area is gated and everything and we have security cameras, we've switched over from Now, first when we did a keypad, but it was actually the ladies that recommended to me to go to a different type system.
So you say you have cameras. Where is the recording made from these cameras? Where does it go?
Where we do the common restrooms, we have a maintenance room, and inside that maintenance room is a control system for the cameras. We also have Wi-Fi. We bring the service into the complex, and then we have repeaters throughout the complex. So every unit has Wi-Fi to it, which is included in the HOA fees. So all of that equipment is in a locked room and storeroom inside the men's room. And the fellows or ladies, too. We have ladies and fellows that are directors. Each community has a 5-director board, and they have access to that to monitor it. Every owner can have access to the cameras. So in other words, if you own a unit in there, you have that app on your phone. You can see every camera that is being operated at any time.
Great. Dave, let's take a break here and listen to an Alzheimer's tip from Dr. Craig Curtis.
And these new antibodies, in particular trontinemab, appears to be about 10 to 15 times safer and remarkably removes the amyloid in about 3 to 4 months versus about 1 year to 18 months on the existing medications. So this is a really significant breakthrough. It's currently in clinical trials. The good news is we're in the final phase. That study began about a month ago in late December 2025 and will enroll approximately 1,500 people across the United States and in other countries. And
to learn more, visit his website, craigcurtismd.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Thank you, Dr. Curtis, for that Alzheimer's tip and information. This is Mike Roth. I'm back with Dave Anthony. Now, Dave, in your building of these garage condos, what made you make the decision to make them condos as opposed to just rental garages?
Because it's an investment. And fellows that I talked to that were renting in buildings, most of those buildings were not built to the quality of what we're building. And the other thing is they couldn't modify it the way that they wanted. So if a gentleman's renting a building, if he could build a mezzanine, he would invest all that money and never own it. So this is a tangible piece of property that you can sell, you own, and you can go inside and design it to fit your personal needs. We've been doing this now for 7 years. In Punta Gorda, we've just finished our 5th complex in Punta Gorda, and they're under such demand that we don't even have a resale available. If it comes available, it's usually gone within 2 to 3 days, and that's usually because somebody within that community wants another unit or a friend wants a unit. So it's a very good investment rather than just renting and not getting any return on your money.
There is another community or off-site garage rental space here in the Villages area near Brownwood. In that development, they have allowed some commercial businesses to come in, golf cart repair shops, and they have golf carts all over the place. What are the restrictions in your community?
It's in the HOA documents. It's very clear that these are for private personal use only. That's what we call a flex-based business, where people can either use it for personal or for business. So ours is very clear in the HOA documents that this is for private use only, no commercial businesses, not even storing of business stuff. So in other words, one of my good friends in Punta Gorda is a plumber, and he owns a unit, but he cannot store his plumbing supplies in there. No, this is strictly personal stuff. The point is to not have, my friend is a plumber, he's got employees. So he sends one of his employees over to get something out of it. So then you lose control of who's coming and going. So the concept is there's nothing wrong with that, but it needs to be separate. And I've found that's really important to my buyer, that this is for personal, private use only.
So the property that you're building in Leesburg, what is the exact name of it that someone would see?
It's called Premier Garage Condos.
Premier Garage Condos. Is that going to be the same name for the units in Wildwood?
What we're doing is since we've expanded to keep it simple, we've branded ourselves. If you go to us on the website, it's Florida Premier Garage Condos. So then it would be Premier Garage Condos Wildwood, Premier Garage Condos Sumterville, Premier Garage Condos Leesburg.
The condos that you're building in Leesburg, how many units actually are there?
There's 37 units. I built it in 2 phases, and the reason for that is not to save money. It's for 2 reasons. One is when you build a complex and you've got 6 buildings, the county or the city wants you to complete all 6 buildings before you can sell any of them. So
Right.
what we're building the first 4 buildings, which will be completed end of May, early June, and those folks can move in. The second 2 buildings, the last 2 buildings, we have already done the site work. We're going to start building those buildings in mid to late April. So the reason we did that is we could complete the first 4 buildings. Those folks can move in while we're building the other 2. But the other factor is I found out is by what people want in the first 4 buildings tells me what sizes I need to have in the other 2 buildings. So if my sales are leaning more towards a 30 wide or a 34 wide, then we make the mix stronger towards those size of units.
I see.
So we let the customer tell us what they want, and then we try to build the best we can to what their demands are.
Good. And our listeners are listening to this in April of 26 at the earliest. But right now in March, what percentage of the 37 units have actually been sold?
The first phase is 24 units. We only have 1 left.
You only have 1 left.
1 left out of 24. A lot of folks were looked at us, and once the buildings went up and they could feel them and touch them, then they could see the product I was building. The other thing is they wanted to make sure we were real and going to build. And a few of the people, about 7 of them, actually, I invited them to come down to Punta Gorda and see what we built, and that helped them tremendously. But now that the buildings are up and 95% completed, the last 2 months the sales have gone very strong. We just released taking reservations in the second phase, which is 13 units, and we've already sold 3 of those.
Well, the asphalt work is done?
The asphalt goes down the end of March, early April. The asphalt will be down, and the garage doors are on. The buildings are painted. We're just finishing up the trim work, and then we get the asphalt down. Then we can do the landscaping and everything that we need to do.
How tall is the fence that goes around the place?
It's a 6-foot black fence. We have lighting on the front of the buildings with landscaping. It's very attractive. They go on our website. But over each garage door, bay door up above, there's light that comes down a cone shape in a very soft color lighting that's on every night. So the whole place is lit up every night, not bright white to where it's abusive, but a very soft lighting. So it's lit up very nicely, and it has the cameras. So it makes a really good appearance. Every building has a camera pointed directly at it. We also have cameras pointed at an entryway, so nobody can get in and out or go get around any building without being on camera. And of course, we put a lot of signs up to let people know that there are cameras. These buildings don't have any windows in them for a couple of reasons. Number one, we built these to withstand heavy storms. We don't, even if they are hurricane-rated windows, we didn't want that. And also reduce any areas for people to access the buildings.
In your condo agreements with the owners, are there any other restrictions that are different in your world than other garage condos?
The main thing is that these are for personal use. I give you an example. I have two gentlemen that are buying that had woodworking shops in their basements up north. So they're making them woodworking shops. I got a gentleman that bought one for himself, and he bought one for his wife, and his wife does pottery and flowers. So they're doing their hobbies in those rooms. I have another gentleman that bought one in Punta Gorda, and also up here, gentleman up here, who's putting a pickleball court inside his and a golf simulator. Okay. So it's a great variety. And then I have people that just store an RV and a boat, strictly storage. We have the car guys. So it's a variety.
I wanted to wash my car. Could I do it in the garage?
No, you do it right in the front. We put a water spigot out front of each unit. We do not have drains within the units. We designed ours so we have minimum 80 feet driveways between the buildings. And that's huge because then you've got a big turning radius if you've got a trailer or even a car trailer behind your thing. So the 80 feet between the buildings is very important for turning radiuses. But also, then if I'm out front washing my vehicle and you want to go by me to get down to your unit, you still got another 60 foot of clearance to go around.
Okay.
So you wash the unit out front, then you put it away inside.
Let's talk about the garage doors themselves. You said you have hurricane bars on them. Do you have insulation on the garage door hurricane bars?
The garage door is insulated. They come out, it's 2 and almost 3 inches thick. So the insulation is part of the garage door. Then the hurricane bars are on the inside. And to give you an example, the rating up here, your hurricane bar is a 2-inch, ours is 4-inch. So, and our man doors are solid too. They're not hollow doors, they're solid doors. And I can't tell you the exact material, but it's not a steel door. When a gentleman asked me one time, how come it's not a steel door? Steel rust in Florida. So the door that we use, it's a type of composite door. They're very expensive, but it'll last forever. It won't rot. So there's no wood rot and there's no rust rot.
So you don't have anything like a little office or a little study room inside?
Some guys have done that. I have, like when they build their mezzanines, some will put they put a couch up there and they have color TV, they have a refrigerator. Some guys, I know.
Some people build man caves out. If a guy buys one of these, is he allowed to work on his own vehicle there?
You can work on your vehicle. Inside, you're on your lift. You want to change the oil, and that's part of it. These guys that have cars, that they work on them. I have one. So, yeah, I work on my vehicle in there, but no painting.
Now, how strong are the cooling units that you put in? You said they're the split units. How many BTUs of cooling are you putting in?
It's a 2-ton unit, and this wasn't designed by me. It was designed by the engineer that does that in Punta Gorda, and that's the reason for the 2 ceiling fans is that the idea is that if you set the thermostat, most people set it at either 78 or 80. I set mine at 78. We put in 2 commercial rated ceiling fans. They're steel fans, and we have rheostats on them. You leave them on a low setting, and that circulates the air through the building. And like I say, we've done over 200 of these units and not had one issue with any of them. My electric bill averages just under $60 a month year round. They're very efficient.
So is there any outside air put into the units?
No.
By your heating and air conditioning system?
No.
So it's a sealed system?
It's a sealed system. That is correct. The idea is you want the humidity out of there, and it's called Florida Power and Light down where we live. When we did our first complex, we had them come out and do a study for us. And we wanted to see, like I say, this is our 7th project, so we've taken a lot of time to make sure that the things that we're using are proper. And like I say, we've done over 200 of these units in less than 7 years, and we're using the exact same electrical air conditioning system that we used from day one.
Okay. Could you talk, Dave, a moment about resellability of these units? People are buying them as in quotation marks, condos, therefore treat it as an asset. We know about all the problems with condos in South Florida. What have you done here to make the units resaleable?
The quality of the way we build them. It's like buying a house in a neighborhood. The neighborhood creates a value. So the way we design our community, number one, with the wide boulevards, and then the way the structure is made, it's not a steel building, it's a block building. It's going to last a long time. So that creates value. And the HOA with the restrictions and the guidelines creates value.
What about the waterproofness of the garage door? How far above the floodplain are you?
Each piece of property is different. Some of the properties are in a floodplain, some are in a 8-foot or 9-foot. Whatever the floodplain is, we're always at least 1.5 feet above whatever the minimum requirement is. But again, some properties are in an 8-foot flood elevation, some are in a 9, some aren't in it. They're in what you call an X zone, which is basically no flood zone. So that varies according to the location.
Now, what you haven't told our listeners, Dave, is how to get a hold of you.
If you go to the internet and you Google up Florida Premier Garage Condos, you're going to come up and you're going to see our homepage, which is going to show you the locations of the projects in Punta Gorda, Inglewood, and the ones I'm working on up here. And it'll give you a lot of great information. And then there's a form you can fill out for us to send you more information. And I want to tell people we are an open book. We have people all the time that come to us and want information. And Carol, who's my assistant, has a nice package she sends out. You don't have to give us a deposit. You don't see anything. We'll send you all the HOA documents, all the cost factors, every piece of paper you need. We feel like we're an information giver. This is a product that people purchase it if they want it. And if they don't want it, it doesn't fit into their lifestyle, that's fine.
Now, is there an email address for you?
Absolutely. You can contact me personally, directly, and a lot of people do. Every person that's ever bought from me in my life, whether it was one of my manufactured homes or this business, I give out my personal email and my personal cell phone number.
Which is?
And my email is my last name, Anthony, Anthony, 0429 My phone number is area code 941-628-2073. And I can tell you if I don't answer, it's because I'm on the phone, but I can promise you I never go to bed at night without returning my phone calls.
Good. Dave, is there anything else that you wanted to tell our listeners that I failed to ask you?
Yeah, what I learned in this business, which surprised me, and again, I got into business because I wanted a place to start off with storing my fifth wheel and my boat. But what I found out was I really wasn't in the storage business, okay? You become a lifestyle, because what happens is you now got association with guys that have like interest, where you might live in a neighborhood where you have cars in your garage, but your neighbors don't. So this is a place where guys get together that have common interests, and I've got a whole circle of new friends, and we get together. Like we'll go down there, and Bob will invite me over to come look at what he's doing to his cars, and then we'll sit there and have a beer. I go down there and watch the football games. It's more than just a garage condo. It really is. You become a lifestyle, and you meet a whole circle of new people.
Great. Thanks a lot for being with us, Dave.
Thank you.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout out for supporters Tweet Coleman, Ed Williams, Duane Romick, Paul Sorgan, and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show if you enjoyed listening. Use the fan mail button on our homepage, villagesvitality.life, to leave comments. Be sure to include your name, email, and phone number. We thank everyone for listening. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2026, all rights reserved.